Which takes us to Timeline Twist. This is a game based on the old Timeline game. Now, Timeline was one of the first games I ever bought in hobby gaming because it was widely available. I hated the 10. Of course, I'm glad this one doesn't have a 10. It says 20 minutes. That's about right. 2 to 6 players. Really, you'll see what I'm about to say in a second. There's no limit to that, actually. But Timeline Twist, let's take a look at how it plays. We'll come back, talk final thoughts. Okay, so this is Timeline Twist. Now, if you've ever played the original Timeline, this is going to play a whole lot like it. So you'll sit one card here, date side up, what was released in Jurassic Park. Quick, anybody know it? Yes, that's right, 1993. I knew that before I looked. And then you're going to have 4 cards in front of you. Your job is to put a card to the right time of this timeline. So, for instance, the first bottle of cola is sold. We'd obviously know this goes to the left of this. Where this takes a turn and a little bit different is that instead of just placing it, okay, we'll move this down. If you know, okay, well, I know a date is in between these, I would put this Statue of Liberty, that's 1885, so it's here. So let's just say, okay, well, I know this goes between these. You would actually put it in the row above here, not just there, because you're going to keep expanding out that row and putting cards between things. So you're either going to play a card to the right of the timeline or to the left of the timeline or to the between row. Now, if there, for instance, is a card already in the between row that fills that gap, you can't put it there, which means that this is actually a really bad setup here because now we really can't put anything in between 1993 and 1885. But you have to put your cards to the left of it if it's all the way to the left, if it's older than everything in the timeline, and on the right if it's older, it's newer than everything in the timeline. So this actually wouldn't work. This would mess us up. Now, if you were to manage here, you can discard. Say, okay, I don't have this. You look at the symbol in the discard pile on the back. If you have a symbol with that symbol on it, on your dark side here, you can put it down. And when you, on your light side here, you can put it on top of that. So these don't match, so I could not discard this card onto that. However, I could discard, let's just find one here. Boy. Well, anyway, you get the idea. You discard on top of that, gets cards out of your hand. The goal is to play until everybody has all the cards out of their hands, and then you do a, ignoramus type scoring. Now, you can also play competitively where you just play old school timeline as well, where you put it in the correct temporal line, essentially showing you that you can play the old timeline game with this. So that is how you play Timeline Twist. So that's Timeline Twist. Now, this one is interesting because the mechanic that forces you to be out of the game early is if someone puts that between card up there too early, well, then you're jacked up because then you can only play left or right. Or if they play one from 1899 and your next one is 1993, that's a problem too. So you kind of have to be strategic about how you play this. Now, what I do like is the back of the rules show you that you can just play traditional timeline, which is my favorite version of this. And I would probably just play this as timeline, in which you lay out cards. Everybody get some cards in their hand. You'll lay out cards, try to be out first, essentially by putting them wherever you want, wherever they go. And if you're wrong, you have to take the card, take another one back into your hand. So the person who gets out of their hand first wins the game. But then there's no restrictions on a between row. You just literally slide the cards down and put them where they go on the line. I like that version of Timeline better. I get they're trying to do something different here and make it a cooperative game in which you are limited by not just your knowledge, but also placement. You have to be strategic about how you place it. Me personally, I'd rather just play Timeline, even though this is a pretty neat game.